So in our class, we just painted basic shapes. We figured out light. We actually started with a shadow, then went to paint light, and then paint everything around this orange. So now when we block all the white on the canvas, we can go back to orange and start working on details. And again, I'm going to start working with the shadow. So it has the core part, the darkest part here, shape of the core shadow, the darkest part here is wrong. So now I'm going to adjust. So the whole process consists of fixing, adjusting, and refining what we have. So let's start with darkest part. And the color I have here is close to what it should be, not exactly, but it's okay for now. And as I start adjusting it, I'm gonna adjust the color as well, but I should stay in the same tonal value that I have already here. So you have to remember tonal value is the most important part. If you make mistake in tonal value, then the whole shape of your object is going to fall apart. It goes this way. And as soon as I made a brush stroke on canvas, I can see which way I should adjust it. It was too hot, too warm. So I'm gonna cool it down a little, this ultramarine. And when I paint, I'm not trying to blend it right away, make it perfect. So here I have a little bit of green, but I have to be careful not to make color dirty. Maybe just a pinch of phthalo blue, just a little. And you have to be careful with phthalo blue because it's very strong. All right. So when you mix colors on your palette, it's right, but as soon as you put it on a canvas, you can see that it's not, because the color by itself doesn't exist. I'm going to repeat it many times probably. It exists in relationship with other colors. So you have to see how it behaves on your canvas with the colors that you already have there. This part should be a little darker. This part probably is gonna have more cadmium red. It's really, really hot. But even though this color is very strong and bright, it's still darker than the light area. It gets slightly darker as it gets closer to the shadow part. And I don't want to have sharp lines here, so I'm going to blend it in like this. And immediately I'm going to paint the shadow as well. It's really dark in front here. And it has strong warm color right here. And then it gets cooler. And warmer here again. So when I paint, I'm not looking only on the area that I'm painting, I'm looking all around this area. And also, I want to compare this darkness, this colors, with the darkest part in the upper left corner. So when you paint, you have to figure out your tonal range. So in this painting, the darkest area probably is going to be here and here. Then as a mass, as the big mass, big area, the darkest one is this one. Then next one is going to be this one. So it's lighter than this, but it's darker than this, and this. All right, gonna back to the cast shadow. Needs to be a little darker here. But again, I'm going to avoid sharp, definite lines or edges inside of the shadow. I want to keep it soft and without definite details inside. Okay, and this gets a little orangey, so cadmium red and yellow ochre. And gets slightly brighter as I go up in this area. The more cadmium yellow here. And maybe just a little more cadmium lemon as I go up in this area, so it gets a little cooler orange. But this part is darker. So now when I establish all tonal values, I can really start paying more attention to the colors. At the same time, make sure you stay in the right tonal values. So even though I'm focusing on colors now, I'm not forgetting about tonal values at any point of my painting. All right, so a little bit here on the shadow. It's cooler that I have right now, some more magenta. It's going to be slightly lighter. Okay, darker here, orange, and lighter in the shadow. But I want to make sure this is darker than this. So I need a little bit of contrast between area of the cast shadow here and orange itself. So this part should be lighter, but now it's a little too light. So now I have enough contrast. This is slightly lighter, this is slightly darker, and it's fine. So it's a delicate balance. And I'm going to darker all around it. It's cooler here. A little warmer here. The shadow slightly warmer, and have a little bit more magenta as well. Again, I'm going to avoid anything sharp in the shadow. And I have a little triangle of light here behind the orange. And the shape of this shadow is in the wrong place, so I'm gonna move it a little bit down. Gonna make background here lighter. And also tabletop here is gonna be lighter as well. Little adjustment of the shadow here. It's pretty light in this area, but it should be darker than this orange wall on the right. Here we go. So I'm always comparing colors and tonal values as I paint. I have to look how dark is this in comparison to this part, to this part, to this part. Here is kind of cool, so a little bit more magenta. And here it's getting a little more red, cadmium red. Maybe some hint of orange. and then it gets cooler, have this kind of lavender glow here. And this is complementary color to the orange. And if you put the hint of complementary color next to this orange, it's going to make orange much brighter without changing tonal value. So it's still pretty cool here, and it's darker. And it gets a little warmer in this area. Okay, and as I paint this, I'm gonna go back to orange. So I'm painting in areas that are close or next to each other. So this part I can see, I can make it a little lighter. But at the same time, it stays darker than light, and it should be darker than background, the tabletop here. And then in changes, orange becomes lighter than tabletop as it gets to light area. And I can see a little bit of hints of green, so I'm gonna add lemon yellow into it. So when I'm saying hints of green, it doesn't mean I'm going to paint green. It's just comparison to this orange. It looks kind of a little greener, but it's still orange color. And on the edge, it gets warmer here. Now I can blend it. I still want to keep this transition really soft. It gets more lemony here. And a little bit more orange as it goes up. And as I paint, I'm correcting the drawing as well. Oops, I have wet background, so I need to cover it, go over. And the way to do it is just put more paint on your brush. Here we go. Up a little more. So, and as I paint light here, I'm gonna paint the area next to it, right here. And this is cast shadow from the wall, this one. It has some dark purple right here. Its shadow is larger. More ultramarine in front. Here we go. And it has some red reflected light inside. So I'm gonna put it there and blended it in. But again, I want to make sure this stays darker than this. All right. And then kind of cooler area here. A little more ultramarine in this area. And some magenta. And this drop shadow, cast shadow, also has slight tilt here, this way. And it also has warm reflected light inside. All right. Correct the shape. Go back to orange to soften the edge here. Go back to background and work a little bit inside. So it has some orange influence, the reflected light here. And then some greenish kind of raw umber here. So even though this area is darker than this, I still want to have some colors inside of it. And it has some orange reflections here on the bottom. Even stronger, I'm using cadmium red and burn umber and cadmium yellow just a little bit. little cooler with raw umber here. So I have already a lot of contrast here, so I don't really need to keep this part as dark as on a reference image. I can introduce a little more of the play of the different hues to make this area also interesting. So it's not just one color, it's different hues that I can see there. But at the same time, I want to keep it really soft so it doesn't take too much attention from the main object. Okay, so now I worked around the orange. Now I can go back to it and start working on transition from light to shadow or from shadow to light, and also add a little bit more reflected light in this area. So let's go back there and get a little more reflected light here. There we go. Now I still have darker shape of the core shadow here. And then transition to this area. And it's getting lighter. Maybe some yellow ochre. And cadmium yellow and cadmium red. And gradually I'm moving towards the light. So my color is getting lighter. It's a little bit cooler on top. And this area here in the bottom, and the border between halftone and light, gets some magenta and cadmium red. it's a little cooler here and lighter. Also in this area, it's a reflection of this tabletop, and it's cooler. It has some magenta into it here. But I'm gonna keep it relatively light. Then even cooler in this area. All right. Now, as I'm getting here in this area, it has some red reflections here. Just on the edge. And then orangey part here. So now I can really get thick paint brush strokes in the lighter area here. Here. All right, and of course I have highlight over here, and it's kind of lemony yellow color. So I have large highlight here. And then I'm gonna take a smaller brush and put it here and make small brush strokes there. Okay, where's my small brush? Okay. And some of the highlights are really cool, so I'm gonna use even phthalo blue, so it becomes I introduce phthalo blue into this lemon yellow and becomes really a kind of light, very light greenish yellow. So now when I establish all the major shapes and created the shape of the orange, I can start working on the texture. So texture of the orange, it has a little bumps, a little holes in it. So I'm gonna recreate them. And so the shape of this bump or the indentation is basically, let me get the paper and show you the shape. This is a small detail, but still have to establish it. So it would have the light on this side, but then it's gonna have shadow here. So it's a little hole. It has light on this side and shadow on this side. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna put the little shadows on the upper right parts of it. Get a stick. just small dots, just a hint of the shadow. Maybe not as dark. Also, I can create brush strokes a little thicker, and the thickness of brush strokes also will help to create this texture. But when you apply all these little details, you have to be careful not to break overall shape that you already created. So as I go to halftone, my light spots becomes slightly darker, became slightly darker, and the shadow parts became slightly darker as well. And also make sure to avoid painting kind of uniform pattern. Make some variations. Don't put all the highlights like in a checkered way or some linear way. Just make it more chaotic. And at this point, I'm even introducing some spots that are more kind of pure color, brighter spots, to make the surface even more interesting. And of course, in the shadow, I shouldn't paint too much texture to keep it really soft. Then I have a little shadow here. And reflected light, strongly reflected light in this area. So this stage of refinement and putting small details, you have to be really careful not to overdo. Especially in the shadow area. A little detail here on the bottom. And the shadow here. Go back to the shape of this highlight here. I'm gonna break it a little more highlights. Some of them are really cool, have light, very light blue color. That's interesting. A little more here. Alright, now I have to adjust the shape of this cast shadow. It's probably too curved here. So let's go back to bigger brush. And because I already have color here, I need to paint it thick to override it, to hide it. And I'm gonna paint the flat brush like this. It's kind of cool magenta. Okay, it's gonna go this way. some cool hues here. A little more and cooler and a little lighter. All right, so now I can just extend the color here. Turn this way. And extend color here. Sometimes I don't really mix colors on a palette. I can mix them right on a canvas. But of course you have to be careful not to put too much paint, so it would overwhelm and you cannot mix it right color. But if you put too much, you always have this tool, palette knife, and you can scrape it out and take out this paint. I don't really need to take it out, but I just want to show you that you can do that. It's an option. Now I can see this dark spot probably is a little too strong, so I'm going to lighten it up. And make it a little cooler. Of course, in a shadow you work a little thinner and don't put too much paint. And I'm exaggerating the colors that I see inside of the shadow just a little so everybody can see it. And I don't really need the dark colors close to the edge, so I'm gonna lighten it up also. Because I want to keep the most contrast in this area close to the orange. And now I need to soften up here inside. So I'm just gonna blend it in. Here we go. A little bit more purple here. Complementary color. Stronger reflected light here. And again, I'm gonna soften up this transition. And also I need to soften here. It gets like outlined and I don't want any outlines. All right, and maybe this one is a little darker. And cooler. You can work on refinements as long as you can, or you can stop at some point, because you do have to stop at some point. And be careful not to overdo. So I think it's the right time to stop and leave it as it is. So when you work on refinements and you can feel that your painting is getting worse, you probably should stop immediately. Maybe wait a couple of days, few days till it dries, and then look at painting with the fresh eyes, and you can see better where you can improve. Okay, so we are done here. This is quick sketch. Of course, I can work a little bit more in the shadow. Maybe I should. But at this point, well, I do need to put a few things in the transition here, so probably I need to work a little bit more on it, especially here. Make this a little lighter. And of course, you have to be careful not to make your colors kind of muddy. So it helps to do this exercise when you just mix the colors on a palette. Try to match some colors that you already have. For example, you can take color swatches from paint store, like Home Depot or Lowe's, and try to match those colors. You do have to exercise a lot in mixing so you understand how colors work together. And the only way to understand it is to try it, make mistakes, and try it again. And here we have all the details. All right, that's enough. Let's stop. This work is done. So try work as much as you can on this. And immediately when I said it's done, I can see some areas that needs improvement. For example, I don't really want to have this edge too so sharp. So I want to just soften it up, push it back. even if it's sharp on the reference image, still I don't want it to be sharp because I want to create this illusion of depth here and also here. Make it a little softer. Here we go. It's better. All right, I have to stop myself. Okay, it's done.